Nobody can deny that 2020 was an absolutely insane year for Pokemon. PSA's backlog topped over 1 million cards. Certain celebrities coming into the hobby made prices explode. Over 500% growth between 2019 and 2020 for Pokemon card sales on eBay. Prices were everywhere. Everything was insane. So many different YouTubers were coming out about how to make money from Pokemon cards. All of a sudden, our hobby was turned into a side hustle, which brought scalpers and people who had no idea what they were doing. People who just saw these videos and wanted to make money through Pokemon saw that if they graded Pokemon cards, they could get rich. So they were grading every single card in a pack. Energy cards, code cards, absolutely everything that they pulled, they were grading, which, as most collectors know, is absolutely insane. At different points of the pandemic, both PSA and BGS had to suspend all services that were not Express or Super Express to deal with the backlog of cards. We've all experienced Pokemon Mania before. We went through it when we were younger. But as adults, now that we're spending money on cards and grading and different things in the hobby, the mania becomes a little bit more intense when money gets involved. Because of all of this, we've heard horror stories of people waiting a year and a half, and even more to get their cards back from different companies like PSA and BGS. And suspending their services was honestly the right thing to do. But one of the biggest problems that our grading companies are currently facing is that they have humans grading their cards. Not only is it much slower, it's also a lot more stressful on a human than it is a computer to grade a card. If you have these companies that are going through all of this madness, that are probably stressed out, they're stressing their employees out, cards are going to be graded with more harshness and less harshness in certain cases if people are just rushing to get things done. So it's hard to feel confident when you're sending your cards in for grading that they're going to get the score they actually deserve, or that they're going to get a score that's even remotely accurate. But I've been introduced to a company that I want to show you guys that is going to absolutely revolutionize the grading process. Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back. Today we're going to finally get into that second part of the CGC submission video that I was talking about. If you have not seen the unboxing of our very first graded card submission, you can check that out in the description below. But I had mentioned there that I wanted to discuss some issues that I have with grading, make a whole video about my thoughts on the grading process and what I think should be improved, along with some other things. But I've had to drastically change my plans for this video because I've been introduced to a company that is solving a lot of these problems. I was introduced to a company called AGS, and it stands for Automated Grading Systems, and they have actually created an artificial intelligence robotic grading system to revolutionize the way we look at trading card grading. And I had the absolute pleasure of sitting down with Michael, the robotics officer for AGS, as well as Jeremy, who is a business developer for that company and some of their subsidiaries. And my mind is blown. I have the entire interview in this video. That's why it's so long. You can feel free to skip through parts of it, but I will throw a list of questions up here on the screen so you guys can really see what we're going to be talking about. But one thing that I absolutely love about this company is they've also created an app you can use to scan your cards in and get kind of a preliminary result on the grade of your card. Now, this is in beta testing, and test it out. There are specific conditions that you need to have the cards in order to photograph them, and Michael will cover that in the video as well for you guys that are interested in the app. But this is, like, I'm dumbstruck. There's no more guessing on, do I really see a whole lot of whiting in this photo? Do I really see, a whole lot of scratches on the hollow? If you're going to, purchase a card, or if you want to sell a card, this app can highlight exactly how clean condition the card is in, because it gives you a grade within minutes. And the app is free. So you're not paying $300, not waiting all this time. Obviously, the app is going to be a little bit different than the AI that they're using at their actual, in-house company. But this is just a very good tool that they've developed to empower buyers and sellers in the trading card market. Alrighty. So here's the website. We've got AGS Automated Grading Systems. Right here you can see the test flight app. That is how you download the app. It'll give you instructions and everything. It is in beta mode, so you'll need to download the app Test Flight, which is where you can download, which enables you to download apps that are in beta testing, and it will automatically update them with any update that the developers put out. So that's super awesome. They're also the creators of Collector Coin, which is a cryptocurrency specifically for collectors. Now, I'm not pushing cryptocurrency on anybody. I'm not trying to promote the cryptocurrency, but the reason that they have tied it to this website is because instead of having just a regular population number, I'm sorry, not population, a regular certification number on the card, they're going to have a QR code on the back of every single one of their graded cards. And those QR codes will be tied to the blockchain. So you will be able to track with extreme accuracy where the card has been, if it's legitimate, and really avoid a lot of these nasty scams that have been going on with people making like fake PSA cards and selling them, copying the certification numbers, and all of that. But their website is chock full of information comparing what they're doing to the other grading companies, and really just giving you a super clear image of what they see as the future of grading. And obviously, we all knew that this day was going to come where computers would grade cards, and it makes it so much easier, and it's going to make it so much faster. Right here you see AI grading service. With our technology, we'll be able to grade cards faster and more accurately than PSA and BGS, starting at $20 a card. Robot Grading will officially launch October 9th of 2021. So that's very, very exciting. In just a couple of months, we're going to be able to send cards into AGS for the first time. You even get a sneak peek at the labels in this video interview that I have for you, and they look awesome. Everything about this, I'm so excited. I can't wait to send cards in. I can't wait till they start doing things like autographs and expanding. I digress. This is not a paid advertisement. I'm just legitimately excited about this. These guys aren't paying me. I'm not getting free stuff. I'm not getting secret stuff. I legitimately was going to make a long-ass video about how grading was flawed at its core because of the human graders, and I don't need to. Now all I need to do is show you that people have had the forethought, that they're, the same thought, that there are issues with it, and they're fixing it. And it's coming this year in 2021. So the interview is pretty long. You don't have to watch everything, obviously, you never do, but there's tons of information, and I can't wait to hear what you guys think. Make sure you let me know down in the comments below if you've heard of them, if you followed them on social media, if you've already used the app, what luck you're having. But I will stop yapping now, let you get to the interview, and I hope you guys enjoy it. So I've done a little bit of looking through your website, and I feel like I found you guys at such a optimal time, because we had been discussing how grading is just so flawed at its core because it's humans that are doing the grading. And I know that recently PSA has acquired an AI that they're going to be using for grading. But what prompted you guys to make a company specifically for grading with a technology to make things so precise?
Yeah, so we're always looking to find improvements in the things that we like to do, and we actually our original company Wooter started in relation to sports, because we used to play sports together, and we really didn't like the way like scores were being handled, and registrations were going, so we decided to start a company to address that. And recently, we got really heavily involved in Pokemon card collecting. Actually, we used to be all, major collectors back in the day on the playground. We were obsessed with Pokemon as kids, and now we got back into it, and we realized very quickly after buying our first few Pokemon cards and sending our Pokemon cards in for grading that there are a lot of problems with the grading process.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just almost like kind of in our DNA. When we see a problem like that, we put our thinking caps on and we're like, how can we solve this problem?
Mm-hmm.
And my background is in robotics and just technology in general. And the first thing, when I got educated about the details of how grading is done, not only just the different types of subgrades, but actually behind the scenes what's going on in the grading offices, at least the rumors and kind of things that you can dig deep online and find out about. And we found out that it was a manual process for the most part. So immediately in my head I was like, there are a lot of high grade sensors that I worked with as an engineer, whether it's like high-end lasers, microscopes, cameras, optical devices, and we can bring that into the world of collectibles and just make it transparent. So instead of having a closed door when somebody's doing grading, there's no body doing grading. It's a machine and a bunch of sensors that just collects data, and then we map that data and pinpoint all of the defects. The same way that in a factory you would have like when your car is being made, goes through quality assurance and defect detection, and why not do the same thing with cards? And that gives everyone peace of mind, and also it improves tenfold the time, the turnaround, the cost, and then also the peace of mind, really, because you're going to know just from our reports that the full breakdown of why your card was given a certain grade. And that level of transparency is something that we really want to bring forth. And I think as collectors, first and foremost, it's like was a product that we think that collectors need, and then we started building it out, sharing it with collectors, and we got a lot of good feedback. And yeah, really, the resurgence of collecting with the coronavirus is really what prompted this for us. Yeah.
That's awesome. It's definitely gonna take grading, I think, in it's a huge step, I think, for collectors and anybody interested in using Pokemon or any trading card game really for investment purposes. That pretty much answers my next question, which was why you guys are specifically starting with Pokemon, because I saw on your site that it was specifically geared towards Pokemon for those first couple of months, and that's all you can scan in with the app right now. So that answers that. Since you guys are hardcore collectors yourselves, that makes a lot of sense.
Well, that's for now. It's also a software issue. So right now we're training our AI to kind of understand what it takes to grade the card. So we just chose Pokemon because that's the closest thing to us. But soon we're going to train it to do sports cards, Yu-Gi-Oh cards. It's just a matter of trial and error, and then getting the AI accustomed to grading these actual cards.
Right, that makes total sense.
Yeah, to expand on that a little bit more, they're like they're limited sets within Pokemon. We're very familiar with it, and it's a great way to just get things started. And it's something that it's coming from a place of passion, of love. So it really is just it feels very natural to start with Pokemon, and then we can easily expand into the other categories as well.
So you had mentioned doing research into grading and what subgrades are taken into account and how they're graded. Are you going to be offering for your slabs, will they show subgrades or just an overall grade, or will there be like, can you choose to have one or the other, or is it always going to be both?
So
you want
me to take this one? I'll take this one. So we're going to have an overall grade, of course. And then on the back of the slab, Mike, do you have a slab on you by any chance?
Actually, I think the one is like downstairs right below you.
I might grab it in a bit. But on the back of the slab, we're going to have a QR code. And what you're going to be able to do is you're going to be able to take your phone. You can scan that QR code, and then you're going to get an in-depth analysis as to why exactly you received the grade you got. Because right now, it's not very transparent. You get your card back, you get a grade, and you don't really know why you got that. So in our service, we're going to have your centering was off by 0.01 millimeters. Your corners are a little bit off. There's whitening on the back left side of your card. There is a print line on the bottom left. Like you're going to get an entire analysis as to why your card got graded the way it is.
Right.
So just breaking down that a little bit more, we're going to, for every card that we process right now, we create 13 grades. That includes the front grade breakdowns of all subcategories, all the 4 standard subcategories, back grade, the averages of those 2 grades, which is going to give the total category grades, and then the final grade. We're looking into an additional set of grades, like kind of like Google, like YouTube stats for nerds. If you remember from like back in the day, I think they may still have it, but basically we're going to break down different pieces of the card that you typically wouldn't see communicated by a PSA or BGS, where we're going to talk about, you know, specifically like the hollow and, you know, like basically provide a grade for the hollow, some sort of statistic for a level of eye appeal in general for the card, you know, whether it has like swirls or, you know, really radiant colors. These are things we're investing time in, and you know, building our little you know, AIs for as well. And in terms of the breakdown of the card and the defects, what we do is we look at, you know, if there's whitening on the card, we'll literally like mark the whitening and like highlight it for you exactly where the whitening is, and then show you that, you know, your card falls into place with, like, if you take all the cards that we scanned, and you know, our database is going to be reaching the tens of thousands soon. Your card lands in this place in the distribution, and then that translates into, you know, if you split the distribution into 10 or 11 parts, this you know, your card is then associated with a certain grade. And we're being very careful. We're taking the time, doing the research to make sure that those thresholds that we set are you know, are as genuine as possible, and like authentic to what a human being, what a group of human beings would agree on for a particular card. But yeah, so that's kind of the level of detail of the report that we're looking to provide. And we already have, and I could actually show you, like probably after this call, some details of that as well.
Awesome. So that's a lot more in depth than what we're getting right now from any grading company. Now, a lot of companies offer, I'm not sure about a lot of these pop-up companies that have started since COVID, but PSA, CGC, and BGS, they offer services to I guess to label cards as errors, or to detect specific errors in cards, and also to authenticate and grade autographs. Do you guys have plans to incorporate that into your company in the future? And do you see any like major challenges with the AI and trying to grade an autograph? Because that seems very, very tough to me.
Yeah, absolutely. So in terms of grading actually autographs and identifying an autograph, identifying an autograph is actually much easier than we thought it was. And with, you know, let's say a very moderate sample of cards that we can train, we can stabilize all of the edges, centering, corners, subgrades, surface subgrades as well, to you know, treat autographed items separately. We're hyper focused right now on getting our grades in a place, and our machine and our systems in a place to be able to support a lot of cards, to be able to, you know, we want our grades to be as accurate as possible right now. So the DNA stuff is something we're going to get to it for sure, probably around like December time. But right now we're just hyper focused on getting the grades running perfectly for as many cards as possible within the Pokeverse. And then, sorry, there was another part to your question, I believe, that I think I'm missing.
The
errors.
Errors, yeah, okay. So errors, you know, like this is kind of like miscut cards, off-center cards, things like that. So that is something that we are able to detect, and we're detecting them, but we're not manually like marking them, and we can easily, like, you know, set a condition to mark them as an error card, or, you know, all of these special cases. But right now we're just you know, we're just giving them a poor grade in terms of, like, you know, centering, for example. Although we're going to get to that, and we definitely want to keep that part of the culture of having those types of cards being graded and marked as such. In terms of authenticity, we are looking into a number of methods right now to authenticate. Actually, we have a good amount of fake cards, and from multiple sources from around the world, including, you know, cards with fake stamps, cards that are just you know, genuine cards with fake stamps, cards that have you know, just purely fake, and from different parts of the Pokemon era, and from different years as well. You know, very high quality proxy cards, and we're taking a very close look at those cards and training them as part of our model, so to detect and differentiate between a real card and a fake one. And that's something I think is very, very important, and we're going to be including, you know, that information as well in the report. Some of the sensors that we have are very, very capable, and they, you know, we can see more of the card than I think anyone has ever shown before. Yeah, maybe behind closed doors, or in a, you know, in a rocket, you know, space rocket laboratory somewhere. You know, they've used these sensors, but now we're bringing them to the collectible space, and you know, we're going to really show your cards in their full detail.
Awesome. So with the AI and with all of these different technologies that you guys will be using, obviously this is going to produce a very accurate grade down to things that let's say a naked human eye could not detect. Has it been a fear that people will stray from using the service because they want a more lenient company to give them a 10 when they don't really need a 10?
Yeah. So there is this thought has come to us, and what are our thoughts right now? And we're still figuring this out, because we can make this decision, you know, at any point in like the next few weeks, and it still be fine. But what we're kind of leaning to right now is keeping the 10 grade, the gem mint grade that we provide, to be on par with, and maybe a little bit above average from, like, let's say a PSA time, but still maintaining that, you know, kind of what's visible with the human eye as the main kind of parameter for, and just looking at like real 10 cards. And then we're going to have somewhat of the 10 of 10s grade as well. That's going to be almost like a secret grade, secret label that you can get. That is going to then really like bring in all of those extra details into play. So maybe out of 100 10s, one will get the secret grade and the secret label. And that's something we're looking into. And we have some cool ideas about, you know how you have like secret rares in Pokemon. Like, maybe if the label was a little bit like that, that would be cool too. So, you know, we're playing with some ideas, but that's kind of where we're leaning at right now.
That's super interesting, adding a new element of collectability into graded cards. I think that's super cool. With the different types of labels and everything, do you have it nailed down what kind of look you're going for, or is that just something that you guys are going to focus on later, for more about the technology now?
Okay, so he's gonna come bring the labels. So right now we have we've developed 3 different types of labels right now, and we have a kind of a design that looks something that's kind of pretty standard within the collectible space, something that kind of looks a little bit familiar, but you know, we put our own spin on it, and I think we're kind of going to keep it a little bit that way. We can very easily provide custom labels, like custom colors, and custom designs, but I think we're in, like, for the first iteration, we're going to keep the labels a little bit you know, standard, and just have that secret label. And you know, in the future, we can definitely add in, you know, if there's a lot of demand for it, if that's what we hear from the community, I think we'd be more than happy to provide a custom labeling as you know, for collectors, because that's something that's very simple. You can just send your slab in, and then we just switch the label really quickly for you without like touching the card. So yeah, I think that's probably, like, right now we're just gonna keep it standard, and but then, you know, we have a blue. Our colors are blue, and blue and white and silver, and we might like add some extra holographic to it, but it's still a work in progress. Although if you know, like we can start already grading cards with the labels that we have, and yeah. Yeah,
Found them. I'll be back in a second.
you here, Jeremy.
Yeah, I'll be there in a second. So I have only 2 examples as of now. We have our white
Oh, that's really nice looking.
and the blue as well.
Ooh, the blue. The blue will get you people right off the bat. People are going to CGC just for blue, and their labels, they're terrible. They're not, like, the numbers aren't centered. Bad. Those look awesome.
So
I
right
like
here,
the QR code too.
so that's the QR code that you would be able to scan to make sure that, you know, just to see all of your grades. This is a little holographic that we have, a little RoboGrading stamp.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And yeah,
That's
what
so
it looks
cool.
like.
The QR code is definitely going to help combat all of these people popping up selling proxy PSAs with like the matching certification numbers. It's
Yep.
absolutely insane, the links that people have been going to lately, just to sell fake graded cards. So I think you all are introducing something that's going to make it a lot harder for your brand to be ripped off.
So on top of that, we actually created a cryptocurrency as well called
Mhm.
Collector Coin. And we're going to have these cards on the blockchain. So you're going to be able to track the lifespan of each card. You're going to be able to see, once we upload it to the blockchain, you're going to see the transfer of ownership if the card gets sold. So you could kind of easily tell if it's a fake or not. So you're going to be able to actually have the entire timeline of the card right in front of you.
Wow, that's absolutely amazing. You guys are coming into this as collectors and, you know, being as well versed in robotics and business and everything. It really seems like you guys have a lot that other grading companies kind of lack in terms of caring about the community and making sure that people aren't going to be, you know, scammed or, you know, any of the negatives that have come along with grading and collecting over the years. So I think that's super cool. Now I've downloaded the app. I have tested it out with a few cards, but I've had some issues with it. And I've conferred with a couple friends that have also used it. And the only issue that I have, because I love the way that it takes the photos and I love how it gives you a grade like super quickly, but it always gives the front of my card a 1 on centering,
Yeah.
which I don't get.
So we're releasing an update today, and I can explain how this works. So what was on the app and is what we launched kind of and shown at Collecticon. Now, on Collecticon, we were grading with our machine, and our machine has a specific set of lighting conditions that it performs under. So it requires a black background, and it requires an even white light that is spaced around the camera, but also if you bring the camera above the card around like 200 millimeters, I think it's 140 millimeters, and then you know, the card is like the card's perimeter, the ring light or the actual, the rectangular light has to come around the card. So it requires a very specific lighting condition. So since then, we've been working on and dumping in thousands of cards into our pipeline that have terrible lighting. And we've been annotating these cards, and literally today we will be releasing an update to the app. I want to announce that when probably people will see this video, the centering will be fixed on the front, on the back of the cards, in pretty much mostly all conditions. And then 2 weeks from now, the same thing will apply for edges, corners, and the surface. Surface actually is okay right now, but it's gonna be drastically improved in 2 weeks, at least in the app. The grading platform, it's under very controlled conditions, so that's why there's a little difference between those two systems, but we're making a lot of modifications, and actually in the new version, new release, cards, kind of like kind of the new age of Pokemon cards post the Wizards of the West Coast era, they're going to be also have better results. GX cards, EX cards going to have good results. VMAX, V, and Break cards, those are going to be a little bit iffy still. you know, something like an Ancient Mew, you know, this latest model, sometimes it's hit or miss, but, you know, we're going to be, you know, already we're improving that. So we've been scraping tons of images online, and just everything that the AI misses that we look at from the app, we immediately put it into our pipeline and then feed onto it. So, you know, I would just say, like, you know, just give us, like, I understand exactly where you're coming from, and we're working on it.
Well, definitely no rush, no worries or anything. I thought that it was maybe because I was taking the picture at a funny angle. So I had devised a plan with a friend of mine. We were going to take like this little gooseneck tripod thing that I have, put my phone in it, put a level on it, and make sure that it was level over the card. So it wasn't like a misinterpreted angle that was, you know, messing up the photo. So,
Well, actually, if you want, you can send me your photo, the photo of the card, like maybe even after this call,
Mhm.
if there's some cards, and I can send you some stuff over.
Awesome. That would be super, super cool. So you had mentioned obviously there's a difference between the grade that you will get in the app and then the grade that you will get if you were to send your card in. How big of a difference do you think it is, the grades would be between what the phone would see versus what your technology? Have you done any experimenting on the disconnect between those two things?
Yeah, so it's going to be around 80/20 in terms of the 20% difference.
Mhm.
And the difference really falls into play with scratches. If you take any photo with a camera, even if it's a very high resolution camera, holographic elements of the card, print lines, scratches, hollow edges, hollow tear, like hollow little etches of the card, especially near text and you know, background gradients, those are going to be difficult to see. And that's why I think we need a different solution, and probably a solution in a more controlled environment that could also, you know, our systems are able to create for the robotics platform a 3D scan of the entire card. So we can give you a 3D image of the card with the front and the back interlaced on top of each other, and then you with your mouse can like flip them around and then zoom in and see like the mountainous curves of your card, and then see exactly where the, you know, where the defects are for the surface in particular. And some of our high definition imaging, which is not actually even based on any type of optical lens, but it's actually generated from a kind of laser light, and then using kind of like some special math, it creates an image that shows in very vivid detail all of any and all surface defects on the hollow that would be even hard to see with the human eye.
Mhm.
And we're able to identify all those in the lab. So that's where the major difference is in the surface grade. Also, a little bit of an improvement for the edges and corners grades, because we can see the heights of the edges, and that provides a different layer of kind of security and peace of mind when you're doing the grade, and the level of detail that we can use in formulating like a hyper accurate grade. So the centering on the app is going to be perfect, or pretty much close to perfect. Edges and corners are going to be pretty good. Surface is mainly going to catch major defects, and so will the whitening. But in general, like, it's going to be, the app is going to be 80% accurate, but the actual the RoboGrading machine is going to be 99.99% accurate. So it's going to be, that's around 20% difference.
Awesome. So you guys mentioned you're collectors. Do you focus more on vintage, or are you getting more into the modern side of things with Pokemon?
Yeah, so actually it's a little bit all across the board with us. I recently started, like, I'm trying to collect all of the base set unlimited, and I'm trying to get a really nice Charizard 10. That's my goal. And base set unlimited Charizard I'll be happy with, because that's what I used to collect as a kid. I really never was able to buy a first edition pack or anything like that. But recently I've also been collecting a lot of Sun and Moon, so Unbroken Bonds, Lost Thunder, Unified Minds. I have some cards from all of these, and I'm always, we're always looking for cards, for binders, for lots. I mean, it's something like it's a super exciting thing, when you see a card that you really want to put into your collection. And I'm hoping to create like a wall of like acrylic case of all the entire base set unlimited collection. I know kind of my colleagues like Alex and Clay and Kagan, they're doing their own collecting, and Alex is really involved right now in looking at new cards. I think he thinks like very, very much into the Skyridge set, and just looking for cards really that right now are just really undervalued, but have beautiful artwork, and would be, I think in many, like, Pokemon is just something that I think will be around for a very long time, and there is a value and a beauty in every type of collection. And right now I'm looking for Kabuto first edition, because actually Kabuto is my favorite Pokemon.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I'm in an auction right now for a Kabuto. So I don't know, I just used to work in an aquarium, and like I used to play with I used to handle these animals, like the animal that Kabuto is based on, the horseshoe crab. So I love the art as well, so I want to get the Kabuto. But yeah, like we were collecting all over the place. So yeah.
I'm more of a Yu-Gi-Oh
Yeah.
collector personally.
Oh,
I
really?
love Pokemon, but I'm just a huge Yu-Gi-Oh nerd. I'm a really big fan of that. It's just a little bit closer to home for me, but Pokemon has always been a passion. But
Yeah.
I'm trying to get more into the Yu-Gi-Oh side. I feel like it's a little bit more undervalued at the moment.
Oh, definitely. Most Yu-Gi-Oh collectors are really just players. From what I understand, there's not a huge group of people who collect and don't play like there is with Pokemon. So it's interesting to
Yep.
meet someone who's into the collecting side of it for that.
So that's my theory, is that it's going to be way harder to find a perfect 10 or at least a 9 in Yu-Gi-Oh, just because the cards were actually used in play. So I just think that's something that hasn't really reached the mainstream yet. It's yet to unfold, so to say. So I'm just kind of trying to keep an eye on that.
I think they'll definitely be harder to grade higher anyways. They have those pointy corners, and the card stock is not as thick as Pokemon. I've opened a couple boxes of Yu-Gi-Oh stuff because one of my channel sponsors has sent me some things. And I mean, if you open that pack wrong, you're gonna bend a corner. They're very, very fragile. So, being a collector and wanting cards in good condition, I think you will definitely have some of the few cards that are in really a gradable state, because they don't hold up super well, especially if you're shuffling them around.
True.
But that kind of leads into my next question. With a lot of issues we're seeing with modern cards is quality control based. For a lot of the new sets, quite frankly, they look like they were cut with a butter knife. More so on textured cards than non-textured cards, but we're seeing a lot of issues with ink just being completely removed from the top edges, and then kind of like jagged cuts. The corners have like weird points on them for Pokemon, and I don't know if that's something that they're ever going to fix for their printing factories in the United States. But obviously that's going to play a huge role in the population of these cards that can get graded like a 9 or a 10 with your all's company. And taking that into consideration, when you're programming your AI to say, okay, this is what a 10 looks like for these factors, if so many cards, from your research population have the same kind of defect, is there going to be an issue with the AI identifying it as this is how it's supposed to be, or this is legitimately just like something that's wrong with the card because it was cut funny?
Yeah, so this is the situation of systematic errors, and we can really isolate those to specific sets. I believe within different card universes. So right now we're kind of treating cards all as one in a sense within Pokemon. but I know that there are some cases like like Neo Genesis first editions, just Neo Genesis in general with print lengths, XY evolutions. I recall, and even I opened some XY evolutions recently, and the centering was a little bit more off. I realized, and for other cards that I've opened. So the like right now we're and this is actually a really good question. So right now for RoboGrading, we're going to be in our data set, our final data set is going to be focused exclusively on the base set unlimited. And I think it's like part of the reason that we're doing that is to just have set a standard, and then we can move on to other sets one after the other. In terms of the app is just taking in all the cards. It's trained on GX, it's trained on VMAX, it's trained on base set unlimited, Neo Genesis, XY evolutions, everything. We're training MetaZoo in there. We're training it to detect certain things. Mm-hmm. But then in terms of giving the grade, that is looking at the distribution. So actually, we can take the cards that we're using now and then split them up by set and then create like distributions based on that. And that actually kind of makes a lot more sense. And that's what we're doing with the base set unlimited for the first run of RoboGrading. So everything, like if you get a graded a 9, it's relative to the population that we have of cards that we graded within base set. Not relative to, and in terms of our plans, like we're not going to be comparing your card to cards like outside of that card universe at least, and at most like the set itself. So like the backs of Pokemon cards, typically like we compare them to all of the cards that were ever made within Pokemon. And because the backs of the cards are pretty much the same for the majority of cards. And yeah, so we're going to be looking relative for RoboGrading set by set, and then we're going to try to keep things a little bit separated within reports. We would love to be able to show you within your report how your card is relative to all the cards that we've ever graded. But that's something like a little bit later down the line. Right now, we're just focused on base set unlimited for RoboGrading. Just base set first edition and unlimited, and shadowless.
Okay.
Legendary, fossil.
So as far as like the backs go, that just makes me think different. Japanese cards have different backs. They also have like different set numbers and everything. Do you have plans to expand into the different languages that Pokemon is printed in?
Yeah. So languages is not necessarily such a the text differences are not such a major impact. Like our AI doesn't need to be modified too much for those. We have right now on our app data. We like in the latest release of centering, we've been training on Japanese cards, Japanese backs, unique backs, Bandai cards, I believe as well, and other kind of tops cards and unique Pokemon sets. And for that, what I was saying is like 80% of Pokemon backs are generally the standard those cards in the sleep, but like they're you know what I mean, like the ball in the center and then Pokemon on top and bottom, and that is like say you were grading a Charizard, right, first edition Charizard, and you go through our system. We run the whole scan front and back, and then when you're looking at your back report, we can show you within the first edition cards that we've done, this is where your card falls into the average. And then for every Pokemon card that has the same back type as the card that you graded, this is where your card falls into play. And maybe your final grade would be maybe just isolated to the first edition, relative to the first edition set. But yeah, that's something actually we have to figure out as time goes on. But I think we're just going to keep it set by set. So to, said that like a 10 for XY evolutions and a 10 for first edition base set will have a little bit of a different of a standard. I think that makes kind of does make a lot of sense actually.
Mm-hmm. So I think this is my last question, and it kind of goes back to errors. Just because you had mentioned XY evolutions, one of the most blatant errors that I have seen on a card was a hollow bleed from XY evolutions, and it was a Charizard, and the entire card was just covered in the hollow pattern that's supposed to be only on the photo. So there's, the shiny and all the little stars everywhere. Since that's not typically what the card is supposed to look like, would your AI inherently grade it harder because the hollow foil could be scratched in more places, or is it gonna not necessarily like pick up as much if it's not, looking for those specific errors?
So if there is a case of like a hollow bleed, our system, well, right now, like we built an AI that detects the artwork area, and we are a little bit more focused on the like we interlace that with the laser data, and we just look at the hollow, like what we call the standard hollow area. And for the reverse hollow, we also have a model that just detects reverse hollows, and then based on the card type, it's going to do one or the other. So technically, if you put one of those bleed hollows into our system, and it was like a hollow bleed, not a reverse hollow like bleed, it would grade the hollow part with the artwork a little more harshly, and not pick up too much on anything outside of that. Although, like for these cases, we're going to be implementing kind of a special mark, a special label grade as well, and that's just going to that's going to be kind of like the tail end of our training is going to be on that. But we're going to be addressing those specific like special cases a little bit differently, for sure.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for your time. I think that's all the questions that I have. I really appreciate you all taking the time to sit down and answer questions from, a nobody on the internet. I really appreciate it. You
have more followers than us, so.
But I look forward to using your service. I think it's great that you guys are making something to help the community and to really reflect grading in a much more accurate way. You all have put so much time, effort, and thought into this, and the public is only just seeing the beginnings of it. So I can't wait to see what happens next year when you guys are open and people are getting their slabs and able to track the QR code and see all this data and information. I think the top 3 grading companies right now do have a little bit of reason to be nervous because you're offering a lot of things that they really just can't. So
thank you, Nicole. It's been an honor to speak with you, and we hope to grade your cards in the future, and send your cards over, send your pictures over, and we'll fix those centering grades.
Awesome.
For sure. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.